Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm your host Bhupendra Singh, and this is the first episode of Treeline, a new series by Turf Grass Care. Here we'll explore the stories of trees, and let's begin with the first tree story. There's a tree in India that can grow larger than many forests. Some of these trees spread across several acres of land. From above, they look like woodlands. From below, they feel like forests. But look closely, this is not a forest at all. It is one tree, the banyan. And across India and much of tropical Asia, this extraordinary tree has shaped landscapes, cultures, and ecosystems for centuries. Some trees grow tall, some trees grow old, but some trees grow outward. The banyan belongs to this rare category. Unlike most trees that rise as a single trunk toward the sky, the banyan expands across the ground, slowly building a living architecture beneath its branches. What begins as a single tree gradually transforms into something remarkable. A network of trunks, a spreading canopy, a landscape of shade and shelter. To someone standing beneath it, the experience can feel almost disorienting. You feel as though you have entered a forest, but every trunk, every branch, every leaf belongs to the same organism. The banyan is not simply a tree, it is a living system that grows outward through time. Names often carry stories, and the banyan tree is no exception. The English word banyan did not originally belong to the tree itself, it came from the people who gathered beneath it. Centuries ago, European travelers arriving in India observed that local merchants, known as Banyan, often conducted their trade under the wide shade of these enormous trees. The canopy created a natural marketplace. Travelers rested there, merchants traded there. To foreign visitors, the association became clear: the trees of the Banyas. Over time, the word shifted in pronunciation, Banyan to Banyan, and eventually the name remained with the tree. But across India, the tree already had many names. In Sanskrit, it was known as Vat or Vat Vriksha. In Hindi, Bargad. In Bengali, Bot. Names spoken for centuries in temples, villages, and sacred stories. Because in India, the banyan was never just a plant, it was a place. In the language of science, the banyan is known as Ficus Benghalensis. The first part of this name, Ficus, places it within the fig family, one of the most remarkable groups of plants on earth. Fig trees are ancient. Scientists believe they evolved more than 60 million years ago. But figs are extraordinary for another reason. They share one of the nature's most precise partnerships. Each species of fig tree is pollinated by its own tiny fig wasp. The insect enters the fig's hidden flowers, carrying pollen from tree to tree. Without the wasp, the fig cannot reproduce. Without the fig, the wasp cannot survive. It is one of the most intricate relationships in nature. The second part of the name Benghalensis refers to Bengal, where early European botanists first documented the species. But today, the banyan grows far beyond Bengal, across the Indian subcontinent and throughout tropical Asia. The banyan may appear timeless, but every giant tree begins with something almost invisible, a tiny seed. Often that seed does not begin its life on the ground. Birds and bats eat the banyan's figs and later deposit the seeds high in the branches of another tree or in the cracks of old walls and buildings. There, in small pockets of dust and moisture, the seed begins to grow. At first, the young banyan lives as a guest. Botanists call this an epiphytic beginning. But the banyan does not remain a guest for long. Soon it sends roots downward toward the soil. When those roots reach the ground, the young tree gains independence. From that moment, its expansion begins. The secret of the banyan lies in the way it grows. As the tree matures, slender roots begin hanging from its branches. At first, they look like threads drifting in the air. Slowly, patiently, they descend toward the earth. When one touches the ground, it thickens and hardens, becoming a new trunk. These are known as prop roots. Each one acts like a pillar supporting the expanding canopy above. As more roots reach the ground, more trunks appear. Branches spread further outward, more roots descend, and gradually the tree builds a network of living columns. What began as one trunk becomes many, a forest created not by many trees but by one. To understand a banyan, sometimes the best approach is simply to look closely. Stand beneath one of these trees and allow your eyes to move slowly upward. The first thing you notice is the canopy. Unlike many trees that rise into narrow crowns, the banyan spreads wide across the sky. Its branches extend horizontally, forming a broad green roof that can stretch across an entire landscape. The architecture allows the tree to capture sunlight across a vast area while casting deep shade beneath. Now look at the leaves. Banyan leaves are thick, oval, leathery to touch. Their glossy surfaces reflect sunlight and help protect the leaf from water loss in the tropical heat. Each leaf is carefully engineered for endurance. Even in strong sun, it continues its quiet work, turning light into energy for the entire organism. Move closer to the trunk. The bark of the banyan is usually pale gray, often smooth in younger trees and becoming rougher with age. Seen up close, the trunk carries subtle ridges and textures that tell the story of decades, sometimes centuries of growth. And then there are the figs. Though easy to overlook, these small round fruits are the tree's true reproductive structures. They appear along the branches in clusters, ripening quietly before becoming food for birds, bats, and many other animals. Inside each fig lies a hidden garden of tiny flowers, a structure so unusual that it remains invisible unless the fruit is opened. Taken together, these parts reveal the design of the banyan. Leaves that gather sunlight, branches that stretch outward, figs that feed the forest. A structure built not for speed but for longevity. When we look carefully, the banyan is not simply a large tree. It is a carefully constructed living system, one that has evolved to occupy space, support life, and endure across generations. Though its fruits are small, the banyan plays an enormous role in tropical ecosystems. Its figs feed birds, bats, monkeys, squirrels, and countless insects. And because different banyans fruit at different times of the year, they provide food even when many other trees do not. For this reason, ecologists often describe fig trees as keystone species. Remove them and entire food webs can begin to weaken. In feeding animals, the banyan also spreads life. Birds and bats carry its seeds across forests, villages, and distant landscapes. In this quiet way, the tree that feeds the forest also helps the forest grow. For thousands of years in India, the banyan has been more than a tree. It has been a symbol. In Sanskrit, it is called Vat Vriksh and often represents longevity, wisdom, and immortality. Its vast canopy and ever expanding roots made it a natural symbol of endurance. In Hindu tradition, the banyan is sometimes associated with the cosmic cycle of creation. The roots represent Brahma, the creator. The trunk represents Vishnu, the preserver. The branches represent Shiva, the transformer. Together, the tree becomes a living image of the universe itself. The banyan also appears in one of India's most enduring legends. During the festival of Vat Savitri, married women gather around banyan trees to offer prayers and tie sacred threads around the trunk. The ritual remembers the story of Savitri, whose devotion and courage brought her husband Satyavan back from the god of death. In the story, the banyan stands as a silent witness to loyalty, love, and perseverance. The tree also appears in the ancient forests of Ramayana. In the ancient Indian epic Ramayana, the sacred grove of Panchavati is remembered as the place where Ram, Sita, and Lakshman lived during their years of exile. Beneath the great banyan trees of that forest unfolded one of the most dramatic moments of the epic, the abduction of Sita by the demon king Ravana. And for centuries, village life has unfolded beneath the banyan trees in the subcontinent. Travelers rested here, children played here, elders discussed the affairs of the community. Long before modern civic spaces existed, the banyan served as India's first public square. Even today, the banyan continues to shape the landscape around us. Landscape architects and urban planners often use banyans as a focal point in parks, campuses, and botanical gardens. Few trees provide such expansive shade or such powerful visual presence. But the banyan is not a tree for small spaces. It requires room for branches to spread and roots to descend. Given that space, the tree can grow for centuries and new banyans continue to begin. Some grow naturally from seeds carried by birds, others are propagated by gardeners using cuttings and air layerings. Trees that may one day shade landscape we cannot yet imagine. Though deeply rooted in India, the banyan has traveled far beyond its native land. Across the tropical world, wherever the climate welcomed it, the tree took root. In Sri Lanka, its branches shade temples of courtyards. In Thailand and Indonesia, ancient banyans stand beside shrines and village squares. Across the sea in southern China lies a city known by a remarkable name, Rongsheng, the city of banyan trees. There in the city of Fuzhou, streets are lined with great spreading banyans, whose branches form green roofs over the roads below. And in the town of Lahaina on the Hawaiian island of Maui stands one of the most famous banyans outside Asia. Planted in 1873 as a small sapling, the tree now spreads across an entire town square. Its branches send down hundreds of aerial roots that have become new trunks. Visitors walking beneath it often feel as though they have entered a forest. Yet it remains one tree. Wherever the banyan travels, it carries its remarkable way of growing. A single tree begins to transform the landscape. Some banyans have grown so vast that they have become the natural landmarks. Near Kolkata stands the great banyan tree of the Indian Botanic Garden. Its canopy spreads across several acres, supported by thousands of prop roots that have become trunks. In Andhra Pradesh grows Thimamma marimanu, one of the largest banyans on earth. And along the Narmada River in Gujarat stands Kabir Vad, a sprawling banyan associated with the poet Saint Kabir. Each of these giants began the same way, with a seed no larger than a grain, and centuries of patient growth. Perhaps the greatest lesson of the banyan is the lesson of time. Greatness in nature does not arrive quickly, it grows slowly, branch by branch, root by root, year after year. What begins as a single life gradually becomes something much larger. A shelter for birds, a meeting place for people, a living pillar of the landscape. The banyan reminds us that patience and connection can transform the smallest beginning into something vast. A forest born from one tree. In Treeline, every tree has a story, but the banyan is only the beginning. In the next episode, we meet another ancient fig, a tree worshipped for thousands of years, the people.